Welcome to Capital City News, your source for staying informed and engaged with Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Brian Young with Salt Lake City TV. For our interview this week, I spoke with Summer Misner, the community preparedness organizer for Salt Lake City, about how you could help if a natural disaster struck Salt Lake City. For our History Minute, we took a look at the 1993 All-Star basketball game. Before we get to those, though, let's take a look at our legislative update and our look-backs.
At its January 3rd meeting, the City Council held a follow-up discussion on Salt Lake City's anti-gentrification and anti-displacement plan known as Thriving in Place. And they received a follow-up briefing from the Utah Department of Transportation, UDOT, on an environmental study focused on the I-15 corridor between Farmington and Salt Lake. The council elected council members Darren Mano, District 5, and Victoria Petro, District 1, as council chair and vice chair for the calendar year 2023. The council also received briefings on a loan to 43 Bakery Streusel LLC from the city's Economic Development Loan Fund, the Open Meetings and Government Records annual training, and expanding electric vehicle charging infrastructure throughout the city. To learn more about these issues or any others, please visit slc.gov/council. In December, Mayor Mendenhall signed an emergency order authorizing homeless resource centers in Salt Lake City to further expand their capacity. This allowed for 25 added beds at each of the two shelters in the Salt Lake City boundaries, and Mill Creek and South Salt Lake agreed to do the same with their shelters. This added nearly 100 beds to the system as a whole.
Together, it's our hope that by enabling this additional capacity, the operators of each of the shelters will be able to offer the space that our county-wide system needs now in order to guarantee the availability of a bed for anyone seeking shelter.
For our interview this week, I spoke with Summer Misner, Salt Lake City's community preparedness organizer, about the Community Emergency Response Team and how you could join it.
So emergency management is about prevention, mitigation, educating the public on what to do in the event of a disaster, how to help themselves, because as first responders, we may not be able to get to you right away, have to take some life safety priorities. So for the public to be able to be resilient on their own, so we have a better chance of building up after a disaster. I am the CERT program manager, and CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. And what that is, it's a team of volunteer community members who are trained in basic medical skills, disaster psychology, light search and rescue, fire safety. And we really rely on these community members in the event of a disaster because first responders and our resources for the city can easily be overwhelmed in a large-scale event. So we rely on these community members to be trained and know what to do and how to help their neighbors until first responders can get to you and we can get you the assistance and care that we need. For any community member that's interested in being part of the Community Emergency Response Team, they can visit our website, and we hold classes regularly as well as online for anybody's convenience. And we would love to have you all be a part of the Community Emergency Response Team here in Salt Lake City.
It's time for my favorite part of the episode, the History Minute.
The year was 1993, and the NBA had selected Utah as the site of its All-Star game. Each year, the NBA pits its Eastern stars against the West in a monumental showdown of all of basketball's biggest stars. The Eastern team was top-lined by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, longtime rivals of the Utah Jazz, and, in his first All-Star appearance, Shaquille O'Neal. The foundation of the Western Conference was built with Utah's very own Karl Malone and John Stockton, supported by superstars like Charles Barkley and David Robinson. Utah held the festivities at the downtown arena, then known as the Delta Center, on Sunday, February 21st, 1993. Almost 20,000 screaming fans packed the arena for the event. The competition was fierce between the best teams the NBA had to offer, and the game went into overtime. But it was Malone and Stockton who scored the winning points for the Western Conference, making them the champions for the year in a close 135 to 132 point game. The two of them, on their home turf, were awarded co-MVP status for the game, representing Utah well. Malone scored an impressive 28 points, and Stockton racked up 15 assists. The NBA All-Star Game would not return to Utah again for 30 years, coming back in 2023.
That's it for another episode of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC.gov, subscribing to us on YouTube, or watching us on Channel 17. So, reporting in from the Public Safety Building here in Salt Lake City, I'm Brian Young.